Hello there. Thanks for joining me. I am Dr. Jen. Today's show is about an interesting tool for real estate investors, landlords, business owners, anyone else trying to save money. I was introduced to an interesting I was introduced to an interesting concept called Spendthrift Trust just a few years back, and then I ran into my guest today and decided to have her on the show to explain what it's all about, more detail. And she's all about these trusts. She's an expert on these trusts. So welcome to the show today, Sally Gimon.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Jen. I appreciate you taking me on as a guest.
Absolutely. And you're on the East Coast. I'm on Maui today, but you're on the East Coast.
Oh, nice. My brother and sister-in-law live in Kailua, Hawaii. So I'm going out there to go scuba diving in a few weeks.
Nice, nice. Well, tell us how this all happened. You had some life events happen that changed you, brought you into today. Tell us the story.
A little bit further back, my mother got sick in 2018. She got septic of the blood. She was on a ventilator for 13 months, in a hospital for 15 months. In December, first week of December, a hospital bill came, 27 pages thick, that said she was on Medicare. My dad was a military officer, so everything was paid for, but it was $72,000. Right then and there in my parents' kitchen, I called my friend Glenn and said, I need to change my life. He's like, Sally, we're having a real estate potluck meeting, a Christmas potluck meeting next Saturday. Bring a $5 gift and some food and meet my real estate investors. Don't know about you, Dr. Jen, but going to a party where you know nobody, a little bit scary, but the best decision of my life. Started real estate investing early of January, February of 2019, working full-time as a Medicare broker, wholesaled 7 properties, paid off $184,000 in debt, mortgage, car payments, everything else. I'm a rock star. I knew about capital gains. I had put aside $50,000, but my CPA calls me and says, Sally, you got to come into the office. I didn't realize my tax bracket went from 22% up to 24%, and all of a sudden I owed $79,000 in capital gains. So I took out a HELOC on my recently paid off house, which defeated the purpose, paid off my capital gains, did what I needed to do, but I had read an article about the Rockefellers Trust. It's called The Office, and how they don't pay taxes since 1913 when our current tax code went into effect. And I'm like, well, the Rockefellers can do it. Why can't I not do it? And so I went on a quest for 5 months, found the law firm, the Benson that has the Benson Financial Trust. Paul Benson was a Harvard law professor. 76 years ago, he wrote 5 different trusts: the business trust for U.S. business owners and 1099 income earners, the beneficial trust for all U.S. investors, the senior trust for anybody over 65, the beneficial trust, the nonprofit trust, and then also the mineral trust. My clients get to save thousands of dollars. Just to give you an idea, my last real estate deal I did, the market changed. I do upset bids here in North Carolina. I won a house for $259,000. Instead of wholesaling it because nobody could get bank loans for it, I've got a seller financing in there. And in 2 years, when I sell it for $315,000, my Spendthrift Trust will save me over $57,000 in interest income just alone on that one real estate deal. And I want to teach other people how easy this is to do.
Oh my goodness. So what exactly is it? What is the Spendthrift Trust?
Great question. The full name, so people have this, it needs the 5 elements: irrevocable, generation to generation; discretionary, so whoever the irrevocable complex, it can hold money day to day, week to week, year to year, decade to decade. 97% of the trusts out there every year are what my mom and dad had, what Susie Orman talks about, the family trust. Only thing a family trust does is avoid probate and then it dissolves. This trust is going to go from generation to generation. Discretionary. This means whatever the trustees decide for the beneficiaries, that's the way it is. None of this going contesting the will in court or anything like that. Non-grantor. This makes the trust completely private. Someone who's not a beneficiary signs up for the trust. They're the settler. They're the trustee for less than 5 minutes, and then they sign themselves away. Makes this trust 100% private. And the Spendthrift element has been in front of the United States Supreme Court on 2 separate occasions. Both times the Supreme Court has honored this and said this is a legal document. It's contract law. So even if Congress changes that's tax code 643B. I can't sell any more trusts, but my business and my beneficial trust will continue going. Right now we have 3 generations, and possibly in the next 4 to 5 days, we'll have a 4th generation. I'm waiting to find out about a great niece. So,
Congratulations. That's
oh, thank you.
amazing.
It's not me. It's my niece's daughter. So
Oh my
it's gonna be one.
gosh. It keeps going. It keeps going. So,
Exactly.
I know that you mentioned the IRS tax code. I'm all about the source documents. I'm always going,
Correct.
where can I find this out for myself? And so 643B, IRS tax code 643B, this is the part of the tax code that explains all of this, right?
Correct. Correct. There, and when people Google this, they are going to find some information saying that the IRS is cracking down on 643B. That is an opinion letter. The IRS cannot change the tax code. The only people who can change the tax code is Congress. And I'm not trying to be political, but they don't seem to be doing very much right now. So, but there are there are several different spendthrift trusts out there. You just have to make sure what you're dealing with and who you're dealing with. The law firm I work on behalf of, it's the grandson and great grandson of Paul Benson, who they have the copyright on that trust. Um, you know, they stand behind it. They give you a certification saying if the IRS questions you, they'll defend you free of charge. It's never happened in 76 years, so they don't have to worry about that. So it's a very important thing.
My goodness. Well, I'm confused on how the tax savings are so big, the federal and state tax savings. Tell us more about that aspect on that.
Perfect. Well, mostly for investors, the 5 taxes they're going to save are going to be short-term and long-term capital gains. The difference: short-term's a year or less, long-term are a year or more. Short-term are taxed between 10% to 37%, just like regular income. Long-term taxes are either 15 or 20%. So if you're selling a investment property, you're selling a baseball card, you're selling a business, that can save you money. It'll save you interest income if you're a passive investor, dividend income if you're in the stock market, rental income if you have multifamily, 5 doors, commercial property, Airbnb, or doing arbitrage, and finally royalty income taxes. Now with the business trust, because it is on the federal level, tax code 643B, you get everything into the trust. You're going to save at least 90% on your federal income taxes every year. And then because in 43 states with state income taxes, North Carolina does not know I'm here. I live here, but North Carolina does not know I physically am here. So I don't pay state income taxes. For my real estate group, I get paid for bringing people into the real estate group. I have 3 other online businesses that I didn't pay any state income taxes. And both 2022 and 2023, I personally saved 92% on my federal income taxes. I only paid 8%, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's decent. I can do that. So again, this is federal law, not state law.
Oh my goodness. So these entities, the Spendthrift Trust, however you're set it up, and it owns your properties, it owns all these business entities. Is that right?
They will not hold the LLC or the S corp because
Okay.
you live in Hawaii. What are you? Are you Secretary of State or are you the Corporation Commission?
No, I've got both LLCs and S corp. I missed your question. Say it again.
Okay. In Hawaii, like in Arizona, it's a Corporation Commission. Here in North Carolina, it's a Secretary of State. Do you know how you file? Which department in Hawaii does that?
I don't know. Isn't that interesting? Because we do have Secretary of State and we do have a real estate commission. Isn't that funny?
Probably the Secretary of State then.
Yeah.
Because of COVID, now every single state in the union, including the smaller states, all of that information is online. So I can research, go to the Corporation Commission of Arizona, or I can go to the Secretary of State here in North Carolina, research the LLCs, and some of my clients, I'll be honest, in my real estate group, if we bring people into real estate group, we get paid in 1099 income. So some of my clients who have the beneficial trust don't want to deal with the business trust. And I'm like, you're keeping yourself open for lawsuits. And they're like, well, I'll change it when I make enough money. I'm like, no, I tell them this is not good. It's their decision how they want to move forward, if that makes sense. But
Right.
I do have online businesses besides just selling my real estate education, if that makes it, save money that way.
For sure, for sure. So your 1099 income, does that go to you personally, or would that go back into the trust? I'm confused on the
Correct.
1099s.
What happens with the business trust, you are going to get a new EIN, just like when you open up an LLC. You're going to get a letter to go to the bank to open that up, and then the money starts going through that new bank account and that new EIN number. With the bank account, you're going to get a debit card, and then you can use that money that, saving 92% of my federal income taxes. I can use that money to pay off my mortgage. I can buy a new car with it. I can purchase food. I can go on a family vacation. I can save for retirement. I can, give to charity. It's my choices on how do I want to deal with that.
For sure.
Some people say, oh, that's not fair, but the first page of the IRS tax code says it's up to each individual to save as much money as they can. And if the rich can do it, why can't we do it? That's my question.
Right. Well, and talking with talking about the IRS and getting a new EIN, and of course, these are all US terms. Some of my listeners
Right.
are in Canada as well. So I must tell you, Canadian listener, this is all US speak. I haven't found an equivalent instrument in Canada yet, but maybe Sally knows
And yet,
something else.
I'm going to be honest, it comes from England. When I was just there in November of 2023, I met a gentleman who does know about the trust in England. When they just did, what was it, Brexit? When they left the EU,
Brexit. Yeah.
Brexit, they changed the rules on the trust. Now they can only save up to £85,000. And I'm like, that's still a lot of money, £85,000. But he said most, how do I say it, Commonwealth countries
Yeah.
should have something, but I don't know Canada law well enough to tell you anything about that. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, no problem. No problem. Well, it's interesting because if it came from England, then it's definitely going to impact Canada in some way. Maybe I can
Correct.
find a Canadian expert on that version of it. That might be a future episode, which is great. Um, and there's lots of stuff that's happening in 2024 post COVID. Now
Correct.
interest rates are up, inflation is up, and the 2014 Corporate Transparency Act
Yes.
started January 1st of this year, which impacted
Yes.
just about everyone who has a business. How did it impact you with your spendthrift trusts?
Nice question. It does not impact me because the Benson Financial Trust actually went to FinTech and they went over all the paperwork. So with the Corporate Transparency Act, it's from the Treasury Department. I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, but who are they going to share that information with? If you have the Spendthrift Trust, you're shielded from doing the paperwork. If you don't have the Spendthrift Trust, please do the paperwork. The fines on not doing the paperwork are either $10,000 and or 2 years in jail. Can you imagine going to jail for because you didn't do paperwork for the Treasury Department? That's insane. So you know, I want people to know about the Corporate Transparency Act. It's part of the Anti-Money Laundering Act, and FinTech's in charge of it. The paperwork's not too bad, but they want a lot of information. I just don't want to give them.
Fair enough. Okay. Interesting. This is all sounds so good to be true. I mean, it's almost too good to be true, but I'm gonna,
People tell me that all the time. They're like, "Are you
yeah.
sure?" Like, yes, I'm sure. Here in the United States, just to give you a statistic, there are over 1 million attorneys in the United States. Most attorneys are only 4% are trust attorneys. Trust attorneys deal with the Spendthrift Trust. Again, 97% of trusts sold every year are what my mom and dad had, the family trust or the living trust. It avoids probate and then it dissolves. I mean, I couldn't use my parents' trust because I was a real estate investor. Um, I appreciate we didn't have to go through probate with my parents' estate, but it didn't, we still had to pay the taxes when we sold my parents' house. I try to explain to my brothers, let's put it into the trust so we save the taxes. My brother's like, no, 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 I don't trust that. I'm like, okay, but we paid the taxes.
Oh my gosh. Well, if people want to read more besides IRS tax code 643B, if they want to read more about these spendthrift trusts, I'm assuming there's books out there.
Correct. What a textbook. This is what trust attorneys study in law school. One textbook is called Scott and Asher on Trust, 5th edition. True story. We here in North Carolina, Charlotte, we just had the multifamily investors group here in April of no, it was April of 2023. One of my clients, I went to lunch with 5 clients. He said, I've never heard of this before. I gave him the recommendation and he actually bought the book on Amazon. So he said he paid $253 for a used version. I don't have a copy of it. Another Who else could you talk to? Another book. There's several books out there. One book by Garrett Gunderson. He's in my real estate group. It used to be called What the Rockefellers Do. He had to change the title. It's now called What the Billionaires Do. He does talk about the Rockefellers Trust and infinite banking, which is a whole nother concept, which is a very special way of doing life insurance. But he does talk about the Rockefellers Trust. So it's now, I have a paperback copy called What the Rockefellers Do, but it's now called What the Billionaires Do.
What the Billionaires Do. Okay. Well, if a listener wants to get a hold of you and talk more about the Spendthrift Trusts, how can they do that?
I'm so proud of myself. I just got a brand new course on the Great Discovery, which is a new platform from Six Sigma. If you go www, my first name and my last name squished together, sallygimon.com. They're on the Great Discovery. It's a free class. When you go out there, there's going to be an Excel spreadsheet. There's 4 ways to file your taxes: single, head of household, married jointly, married separately. Unfortunately, I'm single, and that's the most expensive way to do your taxes. So I have all 50 states broken out, how much they would save in 7 states don't have state income taxes. So someone can see, if you're living in Minnesota versus living in Hawaii versus me living in North Carolina, how much you'll save in taxes. My website is www.thetrustisyou.com. Every Monday night at 8 p.m. East Coast time. I don't know what time that is in Hawaii. Would that be 3
That
o'clock
would
your
be
time?
2 p.m. 2 p.m. now
2,
during
2
summer.
p.m.
Yeah. Yeah.
You guys in Phoenix, in Arizona, we didn't change time either. But every Monday night, 8 o'clock, I do what's called question and answer on Zoom. Just whoever wants to show up, answer the questions, because people have never heard of this. I mean, I've had people say, I've talked to my financial advisor, and I'm like, they're not trust attorneys. I'll have you talk to a trust attorney. The law firm, I'll be honest, the name has changed. It's now called Rosen and Rosen because it's grandson and great grandson. But they had 4 trust attorneys. One just retired. He loves to talk to people about the trust. He's like, how much can we save you per year? I mean, it's amazing how much people at $80,000 a year, even if you're living in Texas, Nevada, or South Dakota, or Florida, no state income taxes, you're still going to save 4 figures a year with the Spendthrift Trust. That's a lot of money for people.
Right. Wow. Well, for you listener out there, check out more information on this very intriguing topic of, let's see if I can get it, irrevocable, complex, discretionary, non-grantor spendthrift trust. Did I get it all?
Perfect. Perfect. Thanks
so much, Sally, for joining me today. Pleasure having you on.
I appreciate you having me, and I hope your listeners had learned something new today.
Excellent.